basic. So Seaborn is on top of the Matplotlib, and it also inherits some of the features of Matplotlib. Okay, and it provides a high-level interface for drawing um, attractive and informative statistical graphics. Okay, so I'll click on next. Okay, so you can see Seaborn is a powerful Python visualization library. Okay, it's a library name which we call it as Seaborn. Okay, and it is built on Matplotlib. Okay, so whatever the package we have learned, it is built on top of it. Okay, designed for what? Making complex statistical. Okay, these are very important points. Okay, statistical graphic, simple and aesthetically pleasing. Okay, you can make very rich graphics, I mean visualization with your data set. Okay, and what are the importance? It helps in understanding the patterns, definitely. So whenever you have a number versus visualization, you can see at least the pattern, what my data says, right? The trends, insights. Okay, which will facilitate better decision making. Okay, and also communication of result to the broader audience. Okay, now this part, whatever we are talking about, communication of results to a broader audience, so there are nowadays some packages are out which are called Pi Narrator. Okay, so there is a package called in Python Pi Narrator. What it does is, whatever the data you are doing analysis, then visualization, right, and then you will hand it over to Pi Narrator to read your visuals plus your data, and give the data storytelling. Okay, it does very well. Okay, and you have to just keep that as a notes for your talk track. Okay, when you are presenting your presentation. So we'll see how to install Seaborn. Okay, what is the command that we have to install? So we have to use is pip install Seaborn. Okay, so this is the command. Okay, this is the command that you will use, pip install Seaborn, which will download and configure the library for use in your project. Okay, since it is already installed, we'll run this command and see what is the message that we get if it is already installed. Okay, and basic configuration is, after installing, you have to configure Seaborn by importing it into your script. Okay, and how do you do that? You will use import Seaborn as SNS. Okay, so you can give any pseudonym, SN, SB, short form S and B. Okay, or you can say C also, SCA. Okay, it's up to you. So I use SNS. Okay, to enhance visual appeal using commands like sns dot set style. This is a function. Okay, we'll see all these things one by one. So we'll see also the basic plotting with Seaborn. Okay, what are the basic plottings that we can do? Scatter plots, line plots. We have already seen in Matplotlib, but when you see in Seaborn, it will be very neat and clean. Okay, and it has some richness in the visualization. Okay, and changing the aesthetic. Okay, you can customize by adjusting the color palettes, markers. In Seaborn, a lot of markers are uh, uh, added here. Okay, so if you remember, recall, when I added yesterday @ it failed. It says you cannot add @ in the markers. I have to use only the star, dots, and all that, right? Yesterday I have showed you this with Matplotlib. Okay, line styles. Okay, you can do all those things. Okay, and you can also add titles and labels, same like what we did with Matplotlib. Okay, so intermediate will also see some of the statistical plots. Okay, so why we call this statistical is okay, why we called it as a statistical plot is, you will use box plots and violin plots to represent your distribution of data. Okay, so what does the distribution of data means? Okay, so say for example, in a class, Okay, in a class we have 35 students. Okay, say for example 10th class. Take 10th class. You are, it's a co-ed education and you have a age. Okay, so you have captured all the age of students. Okay, in 10th class in the various section. When you plot that data, okay, when you want to see the distribution of data, okay, but there are one or two points, data points where the height is 6 feet or 7 feet. So see, I mean there are chances that we can make some mistakes when we are uh, doing a EDP work, okay, electronic data processing. Okay, so you collect all those data in form of uh, surveys and all that, right? Or if you are a class teacher, what you do is, you'll ask students what is your height, or you will ask them to measure in the height scaling map scale, sorry. Okay, and then you will write down their height. Okay, so in some cases what happens, there are tendency where we can add some points incorrectly. Okay, so in this case, if all the age group are close to 5.5, 5.6, or 5.4, okay, but there are 1 2 points where you have added 6.5. Okay, instead of 5.6 you have added 6.5. Okay, so when you see the distribution of the age, okay, you can easily catch, okay, there is some problem with the data. Okay, it will show by your skewness. Okay, left skew, right skew. Okay, so this, what you will do, what is the next step that you have to do? You have to correct the data. Okay, so if you don't know, what you'll do is you'll go back to the requester and say, hey, I'm seeing some improper distribution of data. Okay, it's not coming in a bell curve. So I see it says left skew or right skew, whatever. Okay, and I want to just clarify a few things. Age. So do we have still 7 feet in class 10? They'll say no, that was a mistake, right? Then you have to correct it. Okay, so who corrects? The requester, whoever is sharing the data for analysis, they have to do it. Or if they give one or two, you can do it. Okay, if it is a lot of discrepancy, then that is where you have to send the data back and ask them to do the correction and send it back. And then again, you'll do the distribution of data and see how the distribution looks like. Okay, so this is what we called as a distribution of data. Okay, through quartiles, then medians. Okay, you'll take a midpoint. Okay, if everybody falls under 5 feet, that is 5 feet is your midpoint. Okay, median. And then you will measure who are close to 5.4, who are 5.3, or 4.9. Okay, something like that, students. Okay, there is a tendency they can be very short and too tall, right? So you will measure all those things and then you will correct your data. Okay, and then you will find the potential outliers. This box plot helps to find uh, outliers in a data set. Okay, so we have EDA concept, not electronic, exploratory data analysis, EDA. Okay, so where we will go through all these things one more time. Okay, to understand who are our outliers. Okay, how to treat them. Okay, what models are there that we can implement to treat our data. Okay, so if it is 10 or 15 rows, you can do it. What if you have 10 million rows, okay, age group, and you have to correct? You cannot do each and every cell. So you will use models. Okay, so there are some predefined models that you can make use of and correct. Okay, so what, coming back to our session, what I'm saying is you can use statistical plots. Okay, especially box plot and violin plots. Okay, violin will be like a violin shape and it shows the density. Okay, how your data is spread across different density and different values. Okay, and you can compare. You have two age group, A and B. Okay, you can compare using a violin plots. Okay, you have something called facet grids. Okay, for creating a matrix of plots. Okay, each representing a subset of data, facilitating a comprehensive comparative analysis. Okay, and pair plots. Okay, pair plots is when we are doing a bivariate. Okay, so like I said, exploratory data analysis, EDA. Okay, so we have univariate, bivariate. Okay, what does that mean? Univariate means one data uh, uh, comparison you are doing within the data. Okay, and bivariate is two variables. In a data set, you have two columns. You are doing the variation between comparison between two columns. Okay, bivariate. All those topics will come under EU. Okay, so this is about our basics. Okay, just a theory. Okay, just a theory. Now let's get back to our practical session. So let me open the Jupyter notebook. Okay, so I'll name this as Seaborn Library. Okay, now why do we have to use Seaborn? Okay, why? Because see, I can give you one or 2 points. One is easier syntax than Matplotlib. Okay, in Matplotlib, if you remember, yesterday we were writing 4 to 5 line of code to display one chart, right? So in Seaborn, it is very easy, only 2 lines of code that you have to write. Okay, and it also has a built-in support for pandas data frame. Okay, so it supports, see, most of the libraries supports pandas is very popular, very famous library, okay, in Python, okay, for data manipulation and for whatever data work you want to do, you can you have all those functions and uh, solution within pandas. Okay, and also in Seaborn, it comes with beautiful default styles, okay, and themes. It has some predefined state that we can make use of. Okay, and this one, Seaborn is also useful and excellent for statistical plots. Okay, like I said in my previous example, distribution plots, regression plots, then categorical heat maps, and so on, box plots and other plots that you can easily visualize your data. Okay. So first, what we'll do is we'll get started with our basics. So first command I'm going to do is install. Okay, it is already installed. Even I know you guys have installed 3.7 or what is the Python version you have installed. You just take a look. Okay, you might have the latest version on. Okay, uh, you see C. Okay, it takes a while to look at the library in my system where I am using the C1, whether it is installed or not. If it is installed, it will say requirement already satisfied. Whenever you see this statement with some gibberish uh, location of your system where these are installed, right? It will show it's already, and you might have to restart the kernel. How do you restart? This is the icon that you have to use the restart the kernel, and then it will not restart your PC. It will only restart the kernel of Jupyter Notebook. Okay, then I'll put this in comments. Okay, I don't want to install run again and get this text and all, so I will put it in comment for reference. Okay, so first thing first, I need to import. So what is the keyword I will use? Import keyword. Import Seaborn as SMS. Okay. Second, I will use import matplot lib dot py plot. Okay. Dot py as pl. Okay. And then I want to save it data. So I'll say import pandas as p. Okay. Three library I am importing in my notebook. Okay, done. No error. Okay, you can see here the kernel says busy. Whenever this is grayed out, that means something is going on. Now, once it is clear, you will see idle. Okay, idle means it is done. If there is an error, it will show here. Okay, so for example, instead of pandas, I'll use panda. It will throw an error now. See, no module name called pandas. Okay, so immediately go here and add s and run. Okay, and the Seaborn comes with a sample data. So this is the best part of Seaborn is Seaborn library comes with default data set. Okay, this is only for practice, guys. Okay, so first what I'll do is I'll say first we need to check what are the data sets we have. So I'll say SNS, which is short form of Seaborn dot. I'll press tab and I'll say get data set names. Okay, this is a function. So you will add open and close. Okay, these are all the data sets. Okay, within Seaborn. See, so I will use this tips and then I'll use iris. Okay, these are the two I will use. So I'll say tips equals, okay, that is my variable. Tips equals SNS dot, I think there is something called load data set. Okay, so the load data set function we will use to load that data set in a variable called tips. Okay, and how do I add here? Within quotation you have to say whatever the name you see here, the same form you have to add it here. Okay, so since this is lowercase, I'll add tips. Okay, another one I want to add iris. Okay, iris sns dot load data set. Here instead of tips I'll say iris. Okay, I'll run this to load all those data into this variable called tips and iris. Okay, now we'll first start with scatter plot. Okay, if you want to see the data, you can say uh, tips dot head. Okay, and run it. You'll see a data set. This is a data set. Okay, and if you want to run how many rows and columns are there, you can say tips dot shape. Okay, so 244 rows, 7 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 columns and 244 rows. Head will give only the top 5. Okay, if you give tail, it will give the last 5 rows. Okay, you guys know already, right? So I will not go through all those things. Okay, now I'll plot scatter plot. So I'll put a heading here. Okay. If you notice in the matplotlib and all, what I was doing is I was um, creating my own data set using a data frame and then convert those into data frame, and then I was using. Here I'm using a ready-made data set which is available in Seaborn library. Okay, so this is how you will load the libraries. Okay, so you have a lot. Flight is there, exercise is there, dots is there, diamonds. Okay, so this is best practice that you can do. Okay, now I'll load the scatter plot. SNS dot, I need scatter, SCA, scatter plot function. Okay, so always the function will take, first thing is your data. Okay, so where my data is stored in tips folder, right? So so okay, or I need this. Okay, so scatter plot again, if you recall, it is in L shape. Okay, you have you have X and Y, right? X and Y line. Okay, so here in scatter plot I need to mention what I want on X. Okay, X, what I want total bills. So what is the column name? I have to put it in quotation total underscore bills. Okay. Okay, X is done. Now Y. Okay, Y axis. Y axis, what I need uh, tip. Okay, so we are doing the analysis here. So whatever the total bill it happens for a day. Okay, so what tip they are giving. Okay, so that is the analysis we are doing. Okay, and who are those male, female? Okay, you can do all those things with these examples. Okay, so this tip is the name of the column here, not tips. Okay, tip. Okay, so y-axis also we are done, and then we'll add uh, data. Okay, so where is my data equals to tips? Okay, done. Okay, and then in the next line I have to say plt dot show. See. Okay, now here you see the code has reduced. Earlier we used to give a label, okay, and all these things we have to add one by one, X label, Y label, and all that, right? Here, whatever the tips we are giving X and Y, it will take in a single line. See, this is the beauty of Seaborn. Okay, so you are reducing your code line also here. Okay, now you see if you analyze, if you see the data points here, okay, if you analyze, analysis says this area, especially from 10 or $9, I can say, approximately 9, yeah, 9, you see there is a dense area. Okay, so what that means is whoever used to come to that hotel, okay, on weekend or whatever the day, okay, so total average bill was from $9 to $25. Okay, so this is one analysis. Okay, and you have extreme also. Okay, 50, 55. Okay, so this is an outlier. Okay, when you're doing analysis, okay, so you have to pick up only these data points, not this. Okay, you have to remove this because you see it is not dense area. So that is the beauty of scatter plot. Okay, when to use when you want to do the analysis, or or you want to analyze your data, what would be the next tip that people will give. Okay, so generally if you go on a trip with your family, right, or outside uh, restaurant and all, right, on a monthly basis, if you go on weekly 4 weeks, first Sunday you had a bill of 1,000. Okay, you kept how much, uh, 20 or 50. Okay, 50 rupees, okay, as a tip to the waiter. Second, you will go second time, the bill was 1,500. Okay, you gave him some 70 rupees. Okay, third day, third weekend you went, and the bill was close to 800. Okay, and how much you gave? The bill, sorry, the tip is some 40 rupees. Okay, now you have to predict for the fourth Sunday. Okay, so what you will take is whatever the tip you gave. Okay, first is 50 plus next one, what did I say? Next one 50 plus 80 plus 40. Okay, three weekends done. Okay, and you will average this by 4. Okay, okay, so the tip for Sunday you will give is 140, close to 150 or 140. So this is your prediction. Okay, so this is how you see, this is a simple math. Okay, so this is what you're going to use your analysis, simple math. Okay, so average you can take, or you can take the midpoints. Okay, you have more for a year, you have a data. Okay, every month you have 4 days data. Okay, for 12 months, and what you'll do is you'll take a midpoint. Okay, so you'll use all statistical formulae. Okay, here Clear, guys? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now we'll see histogram. Okay. So there is a purpose, guys. Okay, why people use scatter plot? Okay, to find the dense area. So my analysis is from 9 to, you see, a dense till uh, $27 or 30. You can take a 30. This is the area I can pick it up. Okay, so if you want to predict, if you have a data set something like this, okay, for 1 year data, okay, they will ask you what will be the tip he will give next year January. So you can do the analysis. Simple. You can use the statistical imputation here, mean, mode, median, and do the analysis and throw out those numbers, the predicted numbers, to your customers. Okay, now we'll do, what is this? Histogram. Distribution plots. Okay, so we'll use the same data set tips only. So simple, again, one line code, SNS dot. Okay, so if you don't know what plots you want to go for, right, you can press tab and then first word you can type H. Okay, so you have hist plot. Okay, so if you remember, recall from matplotlib, you have just hist. Okay, so we were using plt dot hist, and then you have to fill the parameter within the brackets. Okay, open this open and close braces. Okay, so always takes the data. Okay, now I want a particular distribution in uh, total bills. Okay, I want to see the distribution of total bills, how these are coming up. Okay, now you will find this last data point that I was talking about, right? In histogram you can get to know all those things. Okay, so what is my data frame here? Tips, then which column I want to use? Total bill, total underscore bill. You have to type same. Okay, so whatever heading you have, you have to type it in a similar way. Otherwise, if you type capital and all, it will throw in an error. Okay, tips, total bill. Okay, and now this is a histogram, so it takes bins. Okay, so one of the parameter is bins. Yesterday I showed you what is bins. Okay, I'll take 20 bins. Okay, and KD equals to 2. Okay, this is one of the parameter which you have to add KD to get a good visualization exposure. Okay, and then you have to plot it. So how will you use PLT? Okay, which is a matplotlib. You heard why we are using PLT here is, this SNS is on top of the matplotlib. Okay, PLT dot show. It says name true is not defined. Why? Okay, maybe caps. Okay, now you see a beautiful hist plot. Okay, so these are my bins. Okay, so I gave 20 bins. If you count from here, it will be 20 bins boxes. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5, if you count like this, 20 bins. If you want 30, you can 30 also. Now you see my data is slowly going up and it is coming down, and you see the skew is on the right hand side. Okay, so this point that you see, okay, in box plot, this easily you can take it out as a outlier. Okay, so this point, okay, above 35. Okay, now if you see here, this is a 50 value above 35, which is this. Okay, so if you see wherever the bell curves ends, right, this is your data point where you have to do the measurement up to this. Okay, whatever data points that are above this bell curve, you have to leave it. Okay, otherwise it will give a wrong inference. Got it clear? And you see here you get a count here, and then you get a total bill. So with two line of code. Okay, but yesterday if you recall, matplotlib. Okay, so to get this scatter plot, 1 2 3 4 5 lines of code I am writing in Seaborn. Just one line, that's it. 2 line. Okay, so you have to see which plots you have to use for what, guys. Okay, so that is the first fundamental. I'll share some videos also in YouTube. Okay, some learning for weekends. Okay, so at your leisure, just go through those videos. Okay, try to grasp and make some points. Okay, always keep those points, okay, written somewhere where you can refer whenever you want to refer. Okay, next is, okay, what if I don't give this as true? Okay, KD is equal to, I can also say false. Okay, now you see there is no data, the circle is not there. Okay, now you understood, right? What is this KD? A line that touches all these points, middle points. Okay, this for this point, this point, this point. Okay, so you see how your data is moving around. Okay, and right now it is not in a bell curve. Okay, it is rightly skewed on the right hand side, not on the left hand side. Okay, so that means you have data which are extreme. Okay, 50. Okay, but this is not all the time. What are the payments that people are paying all the time is between 9 to 30, or you can say 9 to 25. Okay, this is the highest. So 10 to 20 also you can say. So people are coming, total bill they are paying is between 10 to $20 on a given day of point. Okay, and when you want to do the analysis, who male versus female, you have another column here, sex. Okay, that also you can see. Okay, so same thing you can also do with total bill who are paying more. Okay, so I'll just duplicate this, create a duplicate. Okay, total bill is X. Total bill is X. Okay, now instead of tip I will write what is the column, 6. Okay, now you see females, males. Okay, it doesn't make any sense with this data. Okay, why? Because this is a categorical data, this is numeric. Now you saw, right, when to use categorical and when to use what plots. Okay, so be careful whenever you are doing this. Okay, and you can see total bill. Instead of total bill, what I can do is, now I'll take the size. Okay, size means how many people are coming. Okay, so this user, he came for dinner on Sunday. Okay, size was 2, 2 people came along. Okay, here 3. Okay, here 4. Okay, so I can say what is the size? It's called size. Instead of this I can use size. Okay, now this makes sense. Okay, now you see here the size. Okay, so if you see here dense by this. Okay, so on an average minimum 2, 3 and 4 are the people who are coming to those. Okay, 5 very rare, 6 very rare. Okay, and even 1 is very rare. So your majority of people are 2, 3 and 4. See, by scatter plot you can make out those analysis in one word. Okay, so you have to write your inferences at the bottom. Okay, so we'll also learn that later on. So this is hist plot. Okay, now let's do a box plot. Okay, again I'll use the same data sets, SNS dot, I'll press this box So I have something called box plot. I'll use box plot. Okay, it is a function, so you will have close open and close braces. So now I have to write my parameter. Okay, in box plot you have x and y. Okay, x I'll use, okay, I have day, I'll use day. Okay, and then I'll say y. Okay, which day? Okay, total bills we will check. Okay, total bills, it will show whether you are getting maximum customer on weekends or weekdays. Okay, total bill. Okay, and here you have to give your data. Okay, what is your data variable? Tips. Okay, and then you will say plt dot show. Okay, now you see. Okay, now this is the midpoint. This is called whiskers. Okay, these are all called whiskers. Okay, so if you see the midpoint, it is between 10 to somewhere $16. Okay, so that is your midpoint for this Fridays. The midpoint is close to 10 means 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so 13 is a midpoint, and for Saturdays you see the midpoint where it is pointing to somewhere close to $19. Okay, so on any given Saturday in a month, okay, so you used to get $19. Okay, that is the inference that you can draw. Okay, so this is the midpoint. So on Sunday minimum bill is $20. Okay, so this is what the sorry, this midpoint median means. Okay, now this is left is, it starts from $8. Okay, and it goes up to $40. Okay, and whatever the round circles you see, these are all outliers. It is not every Sundays. Okay, so sometimes occasional. Okay, so these, so you have outliers, so you have to remove all these outliers. Okay, we'll see all this in EDA. So this is just for your information. Clear, guys? Yes, no, or is it tough to understand? Uh, Understood? Okay. Pair plot. Okay. Now let's see pair plots. Okay. Now what do you mean by pair plot? Okay. Shows pairwise relationship between multiple numeric features. Okay. What is that? Say for example, we have iris data set also, right? I'll say head. Okay, this is my data set. You see, everything is numeric here. Okay, this is your indexing. This you can leave. All three columns are numeric, and this species name. Okay, Setosa, different species. Iris is nothing. It's a famous data set for flowers. Okay, so species. Okay, so you have the petal. You know, right? Width, length, sepal width, sepal length. Okay, so there's a very good data sets that you can use it for your learning. Okay, instead of doing copying some data from Kaggle or something, you can first practice within SNS. So I did my practice with SNS to start with. Okay, after getting some exposure, okay, and learning, then I started going with the big data sets. Okay, so if I want to see iris dot info, okay, info will give you the complete data set. Okay, how many columns we have? Total 5 columns, and data is 150 entries. Okay, most of them are float, and except one which is an object which is categorical. Okay, now we'll try to plot this 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so all this will plot in pair plot and see how our data looks like. Okay, so I'll say SNS dot, I'll type pair plot. Okay, it will take two parameter. Okay, one is your data, which is iris, comma, earlier we used to say data equal to tips. Okay, so different plots will take differently. Okay, it comes by practice only, guys. Okay, I keep this type of data always with me. Okay, what that means is whenever I'm working on some data set at work or personal, right, I'll just refer this. Okay, this is your template. Okay, so it's like a blueprint. You have to see this and you have to play with your data with a real-time data. Okay, so what I was telling is sns.pairplot. One is your data, comma, then it will take hue. Okay, hue is equal to which column I want to use here as a comparison, this one. Okay, why? Because this is an object, rest are all float. Okay, numeric. So I'll take this copy and then I'll use quotes and I'll add it here. Okay, and then I'll say plt dot show. Okay, now you can see it is idle busy. Okay, so it is doing something. See, beautiful pair plots. See, okay, sepal length, sepal width, and this is petal length, petal width. Okay, so you see the comparison, each and everything. You might have seen in some of the meetings and all at your work also, right? These type of data. Okay, pair plots. Okay, you are pairing all this sepal length. Okay, so these are sepal length. Okay, so you can see green, red, yeah, orange and blue. Okay, so there is a difference. Okay, so if you want to see this legend here, legend is there. So in matplotlib we have to write a legend also, but here it takes by default. See, that is the beauty of SNS. Oh, sorry, Seaborn. It comes only by practice, guys. Okay, you have to do a lot of practice, then only you will catch up with all these things. What's the time? 9:25. Okay, we'll do one thing. We'll do one more. Okay, and then we will call it for a day. We'll continue tomorrow. Okay. Now what we'll do is we'll do heat map. Okay. SNS dot type heat map. Okay. In heat map, a heat map. Okay. So what we have to do is first we have to use the correlation matrix here. Okay, in heat map. Okay, so this is one step extra you have to do. Okay, I'll create one variable called CORR. Okay, as a variable, empty variable, which is called correlation something. Okay, correlation of what? I'll take the tips table. Okay, tips data set. This is here is the one which you see here, pair plot. Before that we did tips. Okay, so I'll take tips dot CORR. Okay, there's a function, correlation function. Okay, and see, in data sets, you will find categorical plus you will get numeric data. Okay, in this case also, if you see, you have numeric data, but it is in float. That's okay, numeric, but it is numeric, and you have categorical data. Okay, setosa and all that. Okay, here, whenever you are doing a correlation for entire data set, okay, you can mention here inside a parameter called numeric only. Okay, numeric only equals true. Okay, this statement you have to add. Okay, in the second line, you have to write this SNS dot heat map, and what is the variable you're going to use here? This one, CORR. Okay, comma. You will use annotation. Okay, this is a parameter. True, comma, CMap. Okay, is equal to. I'll use there is a cool warm. Okay, so I'll use cool warm. Okay, this is one of the CMap. What is that parameters? Like you have colors, gilers, right? So this is one of the cool warm is one of the famous color that you can use for heat map. Okay, so I'll run this and you will see in a moment. Show. Okay, so we got a error. So it says cool warm is not known as color map name. Okay, for now I'll remove this. Later on I'll experiment. Okay, so this is the default color it took it. Okay, so whichever I use cool warm, right, you will see everything in blue. Okay, light blue, then little dark. Okay, now you see here, so this is in negative. Okay, this is your heat map graph. Okay, so you have total bill, you have tip and size. You have size here. Now you see there is a relation wherever you see dark, right? This is 0.5 is 50%. There is a relation between total bill and size. Okay, so it shows 60% there is a relationship. That is how you have to interpret this data. Okay, so now tip and which one you want to take, tip and size. There is no inference, but here you see zero point 0.6 is nothing but 68. 0.68 is tip and total bill. Yes, it matters. Okay, this is dark. Wherever you see light, there is no relation. Okay, so here you have to see this two, this two. Okay, and the color code is wherever you see dark, there is a relationship between the variables here. Okay, feature is nothing but your column names. Okay, total, your total bill also, total bill and tip, there is a strong relationship between tip and total bill. If your bill increases, obviously you'll give a good tip. Okay, so that is what it shows. 68% prediction it has found. Okay, uh map. Okay, so tomorrow we'll do regression and all. Okay, so I think we are on top of the hour, 9:31. You can stop the recording, Saib. Okay, so guys, we'll end this session here. Okay, we will regroup again tomorrow to continue with a violin plot, then regression, then a count plot when you will use, okay, on categorical data. Okay, something like this. You have how many setos are there? Okay.